Hey, it's Soul, and welcome back to Warcraft Weekly, your one-stop shop for copium-filled commentary. Hit the like button, subscribe to feed the algorithm, and let's talk about this Turbulent Timeways event, or what I prefer to call the Time Walkathon. Starting next week, until we run out of expansions, Time Walking is going on an accelerated schedule where every week we're going to cover an expansion starting with Cataclysm, since the last one that we had was Wrath of the Lich King. This is going to go on until we hit Legion, because BFA Time Walking isn't a thing, at least not yet, after which we go back to Burning Crusade and finish off with Wrath Time Walking the week of May 2nd. What's really cool about the Turbulent Timeways event is that the usual surprise box that you get after completing 5 dungeons is being juiced up, meaning that you're going to get a piece of heroic Vault of the Incarnate's loot each week for the next, however many weeks. We're going to be time walking our way through a lot of 10.0.7. There's going to be a lot of alt leveling going on, I bet, lots of accessible high level pieces of gear, and that's on top of what we're already getting from the Forbidden Reach zone. This event adds another lucrative option of what to do as we wait for patch 10.1 in case nothing else is interesting you at the moment. I and many others have been clamoring for something like this, although I know there's a lot of folks that want time walking to be a forever thing as well. The last time we had an event like this was in 2020, right when the pandemic lockdown started. A weeks-long event like this is a super easy win as a gap filler and a gear catch-up that stays a little bit fresh as we move from week to week. But this also quickly led folks to speculate, when is 10.1 going to launch? Based on this event, I'm gonna say, well, no sooner than May 9th. Back in ancient times, I speculated that most patches would release the last week every other month or so, starting in January. But 10.07 launched just this week, so I'm off by a week. Oh no, not my clout. The month of May sounds safe, but when exactly? Let's speculate and start with the week after the Time Walkathon ends. That's going to be May 9th, which would mean Season 2 of Dragonflight would start on the 16th. And, well, let's pretend that the race to World First will last for, 2 weeks or so. That's going to put us at the week of the 30th, where the race ought to be over by then. Most normal kinds of folks are well into season content, going at their own pace, and then just a week later, Diablo 4's release. Normally, I wouldn't think much on release overlaps, like WoW things always overlap with something, but if Blizzard didn't want these releases to get in the way of each other, the 9th can fit, and I guess so can the 16th. Even this stage of the PTR feels pretty far along, seeing as how there's no fangled system like Torghast or Soulbinds or Essences to worry about. I think this is a pretty safe time frame, but if you have any guesses, what do you think? Before we go any further, I want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Ridge. They're celebrating their 10-year anniversary of bringing us their highly rated, iconic wallet, and we're partnering up. Go to ridge.com/soul to save up to 40% through March 26th, which is like super soon. I've been using the Ridge wallet for over the past year and have been loving it. I love how the Ridge wallet is small and fits oh so nicely into my pocket. I got used to sliding my cards in and out super easy. And I'm the first to admit that I'm super boring by taking the classic style, because the wallet comes in all sorts of styles to fit your profile. I can't wait to get my hands on the key cases that they have, then I can tell you how happy I am not having to haul this around. You have until March 26th until the sale's over, but don't be shy and try them out. You can get a full refund within 99 days if you don't love it, so go to ridge.com/soul for some big savings. 10.07 is the beginning of the end of Dragonflight Season 1, and in so few words, it's a good patch, and we're going to get to that ass later, but first we're going to celebrate some of the highlights, which are pretty awesome. I think lore and story were a big hit with this patch, with some brief and effective context that explains our return to the Forbidden Reach, centered around a Drakthir story that all players can share. All the cinematics and cutscenes were killing it, but if I were to highlight just one, it's going to be the exchange between Scale Commander Emberthal and Ebonhorde, aka Abyssian. I'm not going to give spoilers, but this one was given the good treatment with full lip movements and all that, but what I like about it best is that there's no big spectacle, it's just a dramatic cutscene between two characters with emphasis on dialogue. So it's all on the voice acting and the cinematography to sell the scene, and in my opinion, definitely my opinion, it raises the bar for narrative interaction within the world of Warcraft that, compared with the rest of the gaming industry, WoW really needed to catch up. I'm used to the overdramatics and the one-liners that usually feel a little bit forced, and this was simply a good, well-acted script. I only played through the Orc Heritage questline after slamming my shaman through about 10 runs of Botanica, and again, no spoilers, but from start to finish, it was like one part feel-good journey and another part a reminder of where orcs were and how far they've come since all the way at the start of this franchise. I said a while back that the heritage armor and the quests for these two founding races of Warcraft ought to be exceptional, and I could say that for the orcs at least, they nailed it. This questline covers so much history and it's not shoved into your face. Like you look around and you're like, oh, hey, I remember that, or hey, it's that person from so many expansions ago. It was so much fun that I forgot that there was an armor appearance at the end, which again, it looks great, but it didn't feel like it was this one questline that got me here, but more like the 20 years of Warcraft that led to this moment. So I don't know anything about the human questline. I've been avoiding the commentary, so no spoilers again if you guys are gonna compare it in the comments. I just hope that the human questline kicks some serious ass. 1007 leans away from player power, and again, I'm going to cover the but shortly, but the patch is more about getting us as players to refine our collection of characters and our achievements. The Forbidden Reach as a zone is far more lucrative in practice than I thought it would be from testing. I was talking all smart about, hey, you can save up keys across your alt, but it turns out that keys rain from the sky, giving players plenty of access to this amulet and the stones per character. And the drop rates of Primalist catch-up gear, it was way higher than expected, giving folks ample opportunities to fully kit their characters with item level 385 or 395 gear in a snap. One of the surprise additions included turning the old zul'gurub dungeon/raid into a lootopia for transmog that was once discontinued, with the recipes and the materials to support them. Multiple guides are out, including a quick one that I threw together, but it's a really clever reimagining of old content without being stuck in this headspace of, hey, a dungeon has to be fully updated and scaled to max level to feel relevant. What's being done here is just one idea that the WoW team is experimenting with, it looks like, and so far, I think it's a win. My hopes are that more things like this are done so that one day the black market auction house becomes more or less irrelevant, because old mounts and transmog that lost their sources will find a new home in some other fangled scheme that's arguably more fun. The winter pelt farm was also a lot faster than when I had first tested it. All you gotta do is progress through a few quests, and then you can just farm the heck out of primalists down in the southern part of the Azure Span. There's no need to do back and forth turn-ins, just commit terrible atrocities over in Imbu for a few short hours, turn in a bunch of items, and then enjoy being a furbolg. This has turned out to be a very big little patch, and overall has been objectively good and effective fun. But when it comes to the Onyx Annulets and the stones that you collect and the grinding and upgrading of it to make the kind of ring that you want, once I got into it on Tuesday, I thought it was great too. Like, I went for all the bubble kinds of stones, and I got hooked up with the upgrade things, so I got my 424 in just a few short hours. Even made 2 more rings and jammed those with more stones, so now I have a bubbly ring that's a 424, while my DPS and Healy kinds of rings are 411s, because, I mean, 13 item level is 13 item level, whatever. And with this, now my protection paladin is a bona fide healer. Yay! So I took my fascination and joy and happiness with this kind of simple ring, and I looked over to see how everyone else was enjoying it, and oh my god, there's fire takes everywhere. If you look at social media and forums and probably the comments below this very video, players mad. And to be clear, I do not disagree with how these people or how you feel. That's real. But I do disagree on the basis of where these feelings are coming from. Like, over the past 3 days, only the past 3 days, I've been observing this really fierce vitriol over this ring as it's been like tuned and buffed and nerfed, much like any new feature. Now, I can understand the frustration behind that because, like many of you, I ground down a bunch of these stones so I can power up the ones that I wanted to use. Unlike many of you, though, I don't listen to what anyone says, and I just powered up the bubble-related stones because 1, I wanted to use it on something, and 2, the difference between a 411 and a 424 is, well, it's not something that I'm going to stress over. In fact, I haven't used the bubble ring yet anyway because I figure that's better for me in keys. I just haven't done any keys yet, and I've been using the healing ring instead during raids as a tank because I'm crazy. But more importantly, I personally already met my goals of getting AOTC and Keystone Master. We're 4 months into the season with less than 2 to go, and okay, while you might not care about any of this contextualizing, I'm just trying to say, like, why is there such a sense of urgency around these rings? It's as if Season 2 is starting next week and I don't know it. Like, there's a lot of this race to world first, FOMO, go, go, go kind of energy coming from critics of this ring. I'm not a top player, but I mean, I remember how it felt when the wrong legendary would drop during Legion, or having to maximize rep so I can get essence upgrades ASAP in Battle for Azeroth, or having to math out how many Torghasts it would take to upgrade my legendary, and capping Valor and Justice points for the week or else. So the situation this week has been surreal. It's almost like borderline satire or trolling to see these top players and theory crafters stressing over the rebalancing of these rings. And again, I do agree that it can feel frustrating making a time investment and upgrading stones that are no longer best in slot, but folks are reacting like there's so much at stake while 10.1 is on the PTR. Like, okay, how dare Blizz buff and nerf and so on across this week, but I also gotta huff that copium and question, how is this really gonna hurt people's progression in whatever it is that they're doing over the next like 6 or 7 weeks? I would figure that the smartest people in the room would look at something like this ring and look at their calendars and then look at you folks at home or on the toilet and give this tip: wait. If you're not a field crafter like me who prefers to fuck around and find out, the optimal strat is to time your actions for when it's most appropriate. So in this case, it would be to collect stones, grind whatever copies for currency, and then wait and see. Or just don't get involved with this thing at all and craft a ring at the very start of Season 2 if we don't already get access to a new spark at the end of the patch. Done. But now it's time for you to talk and my turn to listen. If you're one of the people who's flipping out over this ring, help me understand where these feelings are coming from. And that's the show. I managed to get some time into the Diablo 4 beta on a Necromancer, and so far it's sick. From the looks of it, we will not have 40 skeletons on the map, but the ones that we do have slap. They can dish out damage and offer some awesome utility that lets me go absolutely ham with Corpse Explosion. Like, that's the build that I'm centered around at the moment, and I'm having a blast, or an explosion, whatever. If you can stomach the queues over the weekend, I suggest giving this a shot, because so far this is going to be a day one game for me, which means that these next few months are going to be pretty entertaining between all the WoW stuff going on and the upcoming patch and the season, and then Diablo 4 to pull me over as well. So this all, this whole vibe, this all feels great, as has the Twitch drop promotion for the Disco toy, which is still going on, so I gotta thank the WoW team for giving their creators some love. But it's thanks to you folks on Twitch and Patreon for showing up and showing your generosity, including newcomer Rich. I am grateful for your pledge. Thank you for helping keep the coffee warm. And let's not forget you, viewer, for making it to the end and helping that algorithm. Next week, we ought to see traffic pick up with the Time Walkathon thing, another vault to explore, and raid testing, and a PTR build probably. And there's going to be so much more, so I hope that you come back to the channel. Please hit the like button, subscribe for more WoW videos, catch me live on Twitch, and I'll catch you later. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.